Okay, so as of last Friday, I am caught up on all things RWBY. I can't say all things RWBY, but all the things RWBY that I personally cared about. 9 seasons of the show, one anime by Studio Shaft, and not one, not three, but two crossovers with the Justice League. Which my gears start turning, and I go, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. Are these characters eligible now for multiverses? Like, I know the game got shut down, but my understanding is that we're still in beta. And so now, with everything we've learned, we're shutting down and we're going to come back on. I don't know how legit that was. If it was like, no, this was kind of always the plan since we were in beta, or if it was yeah, we're just so fucking far behind with what we want to do. Because I think there was one new character in season 2, and I think that was Marvin. And it's like, we gotta shut down, genuinely think about the things that we learned and how we can improve, like things to add to the game in terms of characters and other content, how we want to tweak the mechanics, if at all, etc., etc. But my brain does go, is Rooster Teeth owned by Warner Brothers? And if not, I mean, they already have a foot in the door. Like, these characters have crossed over with Warner Brothers. Because I do remember hearing that apparently, like, internally, they were, and again, this is completely secondhand, like, third-hand shit. I don't know anyone personally that's worked on multiverses, or if I do, I didn't know they were working on it. I had heard that they were trying to get more female characters because there weren't a whole lot in the game at the time. Here's 4. There you go. I would be really, really hyped to play as RWBY in a platform fighter. Like, that to me sounds really fun. I mean, she has a recovery already with her fucking semblance. Anyways, point though. Actually talking about RWBY Justice League 2, I'm really, really glad that this is what I chose to end on. Now, granted, I mean, it was pretty much either that or Ice Queendom, but I'm glad I chose to end on this. Because while there's a lot of... Well, there's a lot of things in Ice Queendom that I like. I found that overall, I was like, this is okay. I like it. I'm glad I saw it. But I didn't love it for whatever reason. And I'm still not exactly sure what it was. I think it is, as weird as it is to say about a one-core anime, it feels a little too long. And like the pacing feels a little off compared to what I'm used to from RWBY. RWBY Justice League 2, on the other hand, is fantastic. And I was shocked. I was expecting it. I mean, like, when I watched the first one, I was like, I don't think this is going to be very good. And from what I had seen, because I'd seen that Batman scene before, I'm like, I know there's at least one part that is absolutely irredeemably terrible. And having seen the whole movie, it's pretty fucking bad. I had fun with it, because I think it's classic bad RWBY. And even when RWBY is bad, it's very rarely boring, and I at least have fun with it. So admittedly, I was kind of expecting more of the same. But I remember watching that first movie and thinking, this jank-ass writing and these jank-ass visuals, how intentional is it? Because these are the OG, like, season 1 through 3 designs. This feels like some older writing of the show. Is this on purpose? Or is this just not good? I mean, those aren't mutually exclusive. Something can be not good. It can still be intentional. You're like, I get what you're trying to do, but I still didn't like it. And even if it was intentional, like, yeah, I still didn't like it. So color me shocked when the second part kicked ass. I thought, visually, it was way better. The fights were a lot more engaging. Like, one of the first things that happens is RWBY is fighting, like, those fucking yin-yang snakes that, Oh, fuck, what's his name? Ren. I could not remember Ren's name for some reason. But he's fighting, RWBY is fighting those same snakes that he fought in that one scene in Season 1 when Pyrrha is explaining Aura to John and by proxy to the audience. RWBY is fighting the two of them in the desert, so I'm just watching this going, they're in Vacuo. So A, this is after Season 9, and 2, I'm seeing a little bit of a sneak peek of Season 10. Okay, let's go. Like, I was really excited for that. So RWBY stands on one snake's head, uses the blade of Crescent Rose to, like, hook around its neck, and as the other snake is coming, she fires a bullet into that snake's mouth, which kills the snake, and the recoil of the shot causes the scythe's blade to cut the head off the other snake. And I watched this with Clay, because I watched the first one with Clay, and he also, like, had a really good time with it. And he's like, that's really fucking cool. It's like, yes, it is. That is, like, classic RWBY combat. It's all about, it's like recoil and momentum. And I was so fucking happy to see it. It was great. It was wonderful. Like, the animation's better, the fighting is better, and I think the actual choreography of the fights are better. I was actually invested in what the fuck was happening, unlike the first time. I think the writing is better. I think the actual character interactions are better. It's a vast improvement. Like, it's a term I like to use is that part 1 got 1,000-year doored. Because me personally, I think the first Paper Mario game is a very good experience, but to me, 1,000-year door fixed every single problem I had with it. So for me, I'm like, I would not want to play the first game again because I would just be thinking the entire time, I could be playing 1,000-year door right now. That's just me. I know people who were different. Like, well, a very good friend of mine loves 1,000-year door, and he'll still probably play the first Paper Mario. He's like, it's just he prefers that experience. And that's totally fine. But to me, that's kind of what RWBY Volume 2 is kind of that to RWBY Volume 1, but that's what JL2 is over JL1. Okay, so we're just trying to move on to some specifics, because surprisingly, I actually have fucking notes for this one that I actually wrote down, because I haven't done that in a while. I think I did it for Ice Queendom, but I didn't do it for Justice League 1, I didn't do it for Volume 9, I think I did have it for Volume 8, I know I didn't have it for Volume 6 or 7, I was like, I just need to fucking talk about this shit. So really, in terms of the plot, there's Grimm in the DC verse, and they're causing problems, and the Grimm themselves are a lot stronger than the ones from Part 1, and as as the movie goes on, they start evolving, and some of them will start getting different powers, or for example, like at one point they're fighting Black Canary, and the characters mention the Grimm are starting to fight her a lot smarter. Like, they'll actually do things to try to cover her mouth, or like maybe to cover their ears. Now, I don't think there's anything with covering their ears, but it's like they specifically are going for her mouth or her throat to keep her from using her powers. They're getting smarter. At one point, they're fighting this big-ass snake, which, of course, I just think of Aladdin every time. I just see this thing slithering about, my brain goes, how snake-like I can be. And it's fighting RWBY and Superman, and very quickly into the fight, Superman is fucking useless because the thing has kryptonite on it. You're like, oh, that's actually really cool. And even still, Superman is trying his best because there's people around, and he's like, I have to protect the citizens. That's who I am. That's what I'm all about. Even though he's kind of dead weight, and from the, like, Grimm perspective, I'm like, that's really cool. I like this threat level, and I also like, that's who Superman is supposed to be, and I love it. Also, there's a point where RWBY teleports, like, into the fucking snake's mouth, and she uses her scythe. Because they're in a new world, they all get redesigned, so Team RWBY all looks older, and they get these more kind of superhero-y designs and shit. Like, Blake loses her ears, but she gets a mask and shit, and I think it's pretty neat. Weiss has this dress that I think looks really good. RWBY, I don't remember, I know her outfit is different. It didn't look super different like the way those two did. Her hair is different because now she has a ponytail and shit, and I'm looking at her going, how? how does this happen in almost every fucking season? Where season, short, whatever the fuck, where there's a new thing about this character that's like, how, you're exactly like a character I fucking written. This is weird. Like, Ruby's redesign is how that character to me looks when she is an adult. There's even a scene where they're fighting a dragon. This is my thing, where they're fighting a dragon, and part of her strategy is, I'm gonna jump in its mouth. So she teleports into its mouth, and then she, like, wraps her legs around its teeth, takes her guns, and just starts shooting its head. Or, like, starts shooting the inside of its mouth. So seeing Ruby's, like, teleport into the thing's mouth, like, how? How does this keep happening? This is weird, man. It's really fucking weird. But I think it's neat, and it was cool. I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh yeah, the Grimm. And the Grimm are evolving. And the Justice League, like, okay, we have to take care of this problem. Let's see if we can call up our friends from Team RWBY through some techno whatever, blah, 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 blah shit. Because they know a lot about the Grimm, and there's one Scorpion Grimm that ends up poisoning Batman. Like, we don't have a cure. Maybe they do. Maybe they can bring an antidote. Maybe they know the shit that we can put together and concoct to make an antidote. Let's call them. They come through, and one of my very, very few criticisms of this is they don't pass through the Warner Brothers logo. Like, you remember in Space Jam when fucking Michael Jordan gets pulled down through the golf course and he has to go through the WB logo? I was really hoping that was going to happen here. Such a minor thing, and it's like, am I actually mad it didn't happen? No. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, please go through the Warner Brothers logo. Like, that would be perfect. Damn it didn't happen. My second actual criticism is related to when they go to the new place, because John doesn't go with them. And actually kind of thinking about it, like, yeah, John has mostly always been there. He's the other main character in Season 1. He's in the Ever After in Season 9. In Ice Queendom, it's Team RWBY goes to save Yang, and John still ends up going with them. They just kind of can't be rid of him. Yeah, there's, like, the only time I can really think of is Season 6. I mean, I guess in Season 2, because Team RWBY goes on a mission, Juniper goes on a separate mission, and then in Season 6, they split the party, and, you know, later in Season 6, no, we can't split the party, we won't let you. I mean, you guys literally did earlier. It's part of the strategy. Like, I don't want to talk about Season 6. I want to talk about good RWBY, because this was great RWBY. But it feels a little weird being like, yeah, John's actually not here. Huh. And then you've got Jessica going, hey, is John with you guys? No. Oh. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of sad with you. It's like, your interactions were like the best part of the first special. I kind of wanted to see more of that. That could have been really cool and really interesting. John's definitely been through some shit since that happened. You guys might have some shit to talk about. I don't know. The only other criticism I have on the subject of them is, like with season one, like with part 1 and with Ice Queendom, I didn't hear a Casey song. Maybe there was one in the credits, but in the actual special, like, there's no opening video, there's no, like, vocal song during the climax. Like, to me, that's the one thing that was missing. Anyways, Team RWBY comes through the portal. They're helping fight Grimm, trying to find out how to help Batman, trying to find a cure. Also, okay, Kilgore is working for someone from our world. Who could it be? They bring up this dude named Dr. Merlot. I'm like, who? Okay, I just binged the show. Who the fuck are you talking about? So I looked it up. Apparently he's a character from one of the video games. Like, oh, so the games are canon. Do I have to play the games? No, I don't think I will. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're fantastic, but I don't think I've heard that they're very good. I feel like I'm good. I don't know. Again, if it's one of those things where if I hear that the games are really good, or that, you know, the writing is really good, and, like, it's important bit of canon, I could be convinced to, but currently I don't think I will. But I think it's kind of an important thing to keep in mind. But they end up finding out that it's Dr. Watts. And as soon as the first special, they're like, oh, someone's working with Kilgore. I'm like, oh, so it's Watts. That just makes sense. Like, who's the only motherfucker in this series that I know that's that good with technology that could actually probably make a virtual reality and trap people in it? They're also in Atlas while this is going on. Oh, you mean the shit they were in Atlas got hacked and that's how they got there? Let me guess who could actually do that. And surprise, surprise, it's Dr. Watts, who is confirmed dead. At the end of season 8, there's that scene where he's in a burning building. And I remember watching it thinking, like, okay, I'm 90% sure he's dead. There's a 10% chance that he got out. I don't think so, but maybe he did. It's like, nope, he is dead. Now with about 70% more facial hair. Like, he's got his stash, but now he's also got a beard going on. I was like, oh, I actually like this design. And, he's got like this robot suit with extra hands and shit. I'm like, whatever. But I dug the beard. I thought the beard looked really good. They fight Watts, then they're fighting Kilgore, and Watts is in his robot suit, and he's summoning Grimm, and Kilgore is possessing people. At one point, he's possessing Wonder Woman, and then he possesses Yang, and RWBY got pissed off. I remember when he was in Wonder Woman's body, he started just beating the shit out of RWBY, and honestly, like, it feels weird and bad to say, but that was fun to see. Like, actually seeing the RWBY characters fighting members of the Justice League in that regard was cool. Like, yeah, here's a villain who can possess people. We're taking advantage of that. And also, where they're fighting keeps changing. At one point, it's Gotham City. At one point, it's Metropolis. At one point, it's the Amity Coliseum. At one point, they're fighting in Atlas. I think, like, right outside Schnee Manor. It's a ton of fun. Like, this is so cool. This is so fun. And then the RWBY characters are getting, like, superpowers and shit. RWBY can teleport. It's basically just how her semblance works. Yang, I think she could just, like, shoot blasts out of her fists. That was kind of okay. Blake is just, like, manipulating shadows. Like, oh, that's really cool. And then Weiss doesn't get powers. And I thought that was also kind of funny. Like, yeah, the one that's close to Batman does not get superpowers. That's pretty funny. Though she does get this one scene I really liked. Where, dude, she's in Gotham City. And she has this one line. She's like, oh, this is where Batman's from. I get it now. Like, I got a good laugh out of that. Clay, there's this one part where Clay and I were cracking up. They first get to Gotham City, and there's Grimm everywhere just trashing shit. And it just cuts to Joker and Harley Quinn on fucking lounge chairs, watching the chaos and, like, clinking their drinks together. Like, you don't see their faces. They don't say a word. That joke was gold. I fucking loved it. But Weiss is getting, like, tailed by this giant scorpion, Grimm. And, like, she climbs this thing, and then it starts climbing after and snipping after, and, like, she jumps away from it and does some shit to fuck it up. And as I was watching it, my brain, just seeing this scorpion, it's, do say hello to Mr. Arrow for me. It's like, this is straight out of Treasure Planet. She's climbing this fucking mast thing as a scorpion's going after. Like, even the way she got away from it, like, this is awesome. Like, this short is doing almost nothing wrong. This is fantastic. Literally, like, I can understand not wanting to include John. Like, all right, we just want to focus on Team RWBY. Let's not have more characters than we maybe need from that universe. I get it. The WB logo, like, that's just something for me. That's not an actual problem. I think the genuinely, really only thing missing was a Casey Lee Williams vocal song in the climax. And this, I mean, it was already it would have been even better, though. But they fight Watts, and they fight Kilgore, and Kilgore ends up possessing Watts, and we found out that Watts was going to try to delete him and shit, and the two of them end up getting trapped in the virtual world, and then everyone just kind of goes home, and that's how it ends. What really, for me, sells the short, though, because story-wise, like, okay, it's fine. The two groups, kind of like in part one, the two groups get together, fight a bunch of Grimm. The Grimm are a problem. They overcome the problem, and then they go their separate ways. What sells it are the character interactions and character arcs in the movie, because I did not think they were very strong in the first one. There were like kind of maybe some things here and there. Like I remember thinking RWBY and Superman in part 1 were close. Cyborg and the weird love triangle with him, Nora, and Ren was just weird. Yang, Blake, and Diana, I thought was fine. Batman, I just fucking hated in part 1. But I really liked John and Jessica. Like, to me, that was like the one bit of character interaction. Like, this one's really, really good. RWBY and Clark are close. Here, I mean, again, like, Canary doesn't do a whole lot, although I remember there's this one scene where I don't remember if it was Kilgore possessing something, because at one point he's a giant gorilla, like, oh, he's in his gorilla grodd mode, and that was kind of cool. I don't remember if it was that or it was Watts, but someone like takes Canary and throws her, and then she just lands on Weiss. I was like, I need that rewound. Did that actually just, because it's in the background when it happens, so it was like, I need that rewound. Like, did that actually happen? That's fucking hilarious. But, I feel like the members of Team RWBY, for the most part, 3 out of 4, get a lot of good shit in this. I said in my, I didn't want to say review, it almost like my fucking therapy session for season 9. It feels like an honest reflection, both for Ruby Rose as well as the creators, acknowledging how bad the main character writing had been for the last couple seasons. It felt like a sincere apology and also a statement of intent that we are going to do better. And her in this short feels like it's following up on that. She's really reckless. She's working really hard. She keeps throwing herself into shit without rest. And Yang is very worried about this, which makes a lot of sense. She saw Ruby drink the tea. So her thinking to herself, I'm worried that my sister has a death wish, that she is doing all of this, and maybe her lack of rest and her reckless behavior, maybe that's intentional. Maybe there's an ulterior motive, and that genuinely doesn't come from nowhere after season 9. And also, it's also based on Yang's own fear of abandonment and loss. I don't want to lose Ruby the way I lost either of my moms. Though with Raven, it's a different kind of loss than it was with Summer. And it's like, I really don't want to lose her the way I lost Summer. And as Ruby tells Clark, no, I don't have a death wish. Like, I'm not throwing myself into danger hoping I don't come back. I'm throwing myself into danger because the danger has to be dealt with. If there's one thing I have learned in like the end of season 9, heroes fail. Heroes are not infallible. I grew up on fairy tales. I grew up with these stories of these perfect heroes who would go in, kick ass, save the day, happily ever after. But you know what? There's a lot of shit after happily ever after, and sometimes you don't even get that far. I have become painfully aware of my own limitations and my own mortality. And with those things in mind, I want to do everything I can for other people with the time I have left. Because I don't know how much I've got. With Salem and her having half the relics and not knowing what bullshit's gonna happen, and just the fact that I lead a dangerous job even if the apocalypse wasn't on the fucking horizon. And there's this one really great line, it's like, yeah, we'll go over there, kick ass, and then be back in time for our own apocalypse. Like, I giggled at that one, that's for sure. But she's like, I don't know how much time I have left, and I don't want to use it just sitting around. I want to fight. I want to help. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And Clark's like, okay. He basically gives her the Yang talk, you don't need to stop, but you need to slow down. And that's kind of a big theme in this special and some of these character interactions. I really, really like it. Where he's telling her, you remind me a lot of me. I was raised by who I think were the perfect parents, by Jonathan and Martha Kent. And what they taught me was the importance of helping people and saving lives and, like good values. And they are why I do what I do. I want to save as many people as I can before I join them. But I'm not ready to join them yet. And so long as you understand that, like, as long as you understand that, like, hey, I'm not trying to die, you're on the right track. Just remember, the people around you need you as well. And they need you to be at your best. And if you're constantly throwing yourself at stuff and you don't have that time to rest, you don't have that time to unwind, you are going to be a danger. Your sight's not going to be as sharp. And also, like, she doesn't have crescent rows. It's just like an old school medieval scythe. I'm like, that's kind of cool. It's not as good as crescent rows. It's not as good as snowboard crescent rows from Ice Queen. We're like, that's still really fucking cool. And I liked that. I was like, this right here is the kind of interactions I wanted in part 1, especially from Ruby and Clark, because I felt like they were on the right track. It just didn't quite work. And then here I'm like, bada fucking boom, we got it. And then with Yang, Ruby's relationship with her sister is very much, I'm doing my shit. Sis, I get it, but I'm worried about you. I don't want you to get hurt. And I don't even want to say they reconcile, because it's not really that they're fighting. It's just they reach that understanding. Like, their social link goes up, of, hey, like, sis, I'm not trying to join Mom anytime soon. I don't have a death wish. I'm just trying to do my best. And maybe I do need to slow down. I get that. I understand your concern for, like, my physical health. But let me just let you know, my mental health is fine. I get why you're worried. I really do. But I am okay. And Yang going like, okay, if you're telling me you're okay, I got you. I really like that. Then you have the Flash, who also kind of has to learn that same lesson, which the idea of, like, slow down, don't stop, like, okay, from the Flash, that's actually kind of funny. But given the fact that he was the one that was possessed by Kilgore in part 1, this is very personal to him. Also, Kilgore, I think, is an actual Flash villain. Like, it's personal in that regard, and he was the one possessed. So he's working incredibly hard. He's like, I want to be out in the field. I want to do this. I have to find him. I know where he is because he's in here. He's in here somewhere. I can feel him. But I've checked, like, every part of my brain, and I know he's gone. But I can still feel him lingering. And I have to take care of this. Not only because it's my fault, not only because it's my villain, but if I can't beat this, I don't know if I will be the same. Very similar shit that Yang went through with Adam. So I like that the two of them are able to talk about it and they're able to connect, and how for Flash, the damage was mental. For Yang, it was physical. And they talk about that. And I'm like, yes, I like this shit. This is very good. You have Weiss, who lost her home at the end of season 8. We didn't really get to talk about that a lot in season 9. Because there's a lot of other people who needed their therapy in season 9. But I like that that's not forgotten. She's like, I don't have a home to go back to. Like, it's not just Schnee Manor. It's the whole fucking city fell. And it fell on the other city. So that's gone. And I failed to save my home. And, like, I don't know if I'm assuming at this point she knows her family is okay because she probably met up with them in Vacuo. But it's like, just everything I know to be my home is gone. And I'm going to be okay. And like, I'm going to be okay. And I have, like, home is where the heart is. And my heart is here with my girls. So I'm okay. But boy, this really fucking hurts when I think about it. So as all like the locale kept changing during the climax, I was like, please end an Atlas, please end an Atlas, please end an Atlas. It ended an Atlas, and you just see it on Weiss's face. How much it hurts to be back here. Like, this is really good shit. It's fantastic. Batman doesn't get to do a whole lot in this because he's sidelined from Poison, which was their plan. They're like, Batman's a problem. We need to take him out, and I really liked that. You actually get quite a lot from Cyborg, who's actually able to hack into the Grim and do certain shit, but then he risks kind of getting infected with that same virus and them taking him over, which kind of happens. Like, that's really cool. It's really interesting. Blake doesn't really do anything. And I hate that I say that a lot, but I do. I'm like, man, so it's like season 1, Blake doesn't really do much until the very end. Season 3, Blake really doesn't do much. Season 4, she's given a lot to do. I skipped season 2 because she's the main fucking character. She gets a lot to do there. Season 4, she has her own storyline. Everyone does, and there's moments that work, but I kind of fucking hate her and her storyline in 4. Season 5, really good. It's what her storyline should have been in season 4. Season 6, aside from the Atom fight, which is big, don't get me wrong, but it happens in the climax. Aside from that, she really doesn't get much to do in this season, and I still think that should have been the end of season 5. Season 7, she's the one that decides to help Robin. So it's like, cool, you got something to do. And I hate it. And it made everything worse. Season 8, she does almost nothing. She just has one conversation with RWBY, which is not a bad conversation. But I'm like, yeah, this really is the first time you two have like talked since your introduction in season 1. That's kind of bad. And then in season 9, and not only does she get the bridge moment with Yang, which is, as someone who has said plenty of times, I don't think the build-up to their relationship really didn't get me that invested in. Like, I can see what's happening, but I don't have a clue, because where the fuck is this coming from? I do love the bridge scene a lot. It's really good. And I like that they did give Blake something to do. She's the reader. She's the one who likes books and shit. She's like, oh my god, I know this fairy tale. So that's kind of her helpfulness in the party. Like, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. Trust me, I know the book. And I really liked that. I'm like, yes, we're giving Blake shit to do. And then in this, she really, really doesn't. Like, they're there. Maybe in season 10. I mean, Sun is from Vacuo, so I'm assuming in season 10, she's going to be reunited with Sun, which will give her shit to do. And we'll see how that goes. If, I don't know, maybe they'll be in a 3-way relationship. I could actually buy that, because I know Sun really likes her, but I feel like Sun would want her to be happy. There's definitely some moments in the show where I genuinely thought, like, oh, I think Blake does reciprocate his feelings, at least to some degree. Honestly, to me, Yang feels like the kind of person who'd be like, I'm totally down for this. Like, look, if you want to date him and date me at the same time, that's cool. Just know I'm going to be dating him too. Like, I could kind of see that. That could be a really fun relationship if they go poly. I now think I want to see this. That sounds fun. That sounds wild. Okay. But I feel like because at least Sun will be there, Blake will have some shit to do with someone else, and more continuation of developing the relationship with Yang now that it's a thing. I want to see her do shit, because I do like Blake when she's written well in season 5 and season 2 and has shit to do. She just doesn't a lot of the time, and it's really kind of sad. I don't think I have any other characters I really want to talk about, or any other really fights, like fun shit. Talked about Joker and Harley. I talked about, like, Jessica's like, John's here? Aww. Like, I thought that was cute. It really did. Oh, there's this one scene. I don't remember when it happens. I think it's when everyone first shows up and they're like showing off the new designs. maybe it's in a different scene, but there's one part I'm like, is Superman checking out Yang? Like, he's talking to her, or he was talking to someone, but I noticed like he was eyeing her up, and I don't know if that was intentional, but I thought that was really funny to me. I really like the evolving Grimm. I feel like I'm now being added, and now I'm like, dude, the Grimm suck. The Grimm are really boring. Then there's the Grimm in season 8, which is like, oh, we're doing something really interesting here. There's the apathy in season 6, which at the time felt like more like the exception. They're like, oh, okay, here's the really interesting shit in season 8. And then there's the nightmare in Ice Queendom, which I love. And then there's all the crazy shit happening in this. I'm like, okay, Grimm are getting a lot more interesting. Hopefully this trend continues and they don't go back to just being like, yeah, it's mindless monsters. It's the exact same variants you've seen and they're uninteresting. What does that even say? That just says the fact that Weiss doesn't have powers. I think that's kind of funny. Yeah, that's it. This was really good. And while I was surprised at how good it was and how much I liked it, it's a very pleasant surprise. But now I'm done. Now, I don't know when, hopefully in these next couple days, I want to do my tier list. It's like, all right, here's the trailers, the 9 seasons, the 2 Justice League specials, and Ice Queendom. Let me talk through them. Let me kind of figure out where I want to put them all. And I know at least when I do the 4 character trailers, that's really when I'm going to talk about the 4 main characters. Like, all right, like I'm going to rate the trailers based on the trailers themselves, not what I think of the cast. But like, let me actually talk about Ruby Rose, Weiss Schnee, Blake Belladonna, and Yang Xiaolong. And then when I get to season 1, talk about some of the shit in season 1, etc., 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 blah, blah, blah. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I'm really looking forward to it. But it is nice. It is liberating to be done.